Well, hey, friends, welcome back to Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast. I am your host, Martine Williams, and I'm so glad that you're here today because today is a special episode. This week marks 5 years for this podcast. 5 years. And I want to just let that sink in for a second because honestly, it's still sinking in for me. Like, I can't believe that, first of all, how fast time flies. But I remember 5 years ago, I sat down with a microphone and a whole lot of faith, and I just started talking to you. I didn't know exactly, who was going to listen, if you were going to listen. I didn't know how far this would reach, and I just knew that I had something to say. And I believed that there were women out here like you who needed to hear it. And I wanted to meet you right where you were. And I also wanted to be an example of just like doing it messy, like without the perfect plan, without all of the strategy and the details, but just really leading from a place of desire and passion. And so here we are, 5 years later, still going, still growing, and more convinced than ever that what I do here on this podcast matters. So before anything else, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing the episodes with your friends. And thank you for like just the DMs that I get that remind me of why I show up every single week. Like, you are the reason that this podcast exists, and I don't take that lightly. And I'm just so grateful and thankful for all of you and the ways that you've supported my mission over these 5 years. So July is halftime. And we are halfway through the year, and that feels like it can feel different, right? It can feel like, depending on where your mind is, which, we talk about a lot here on the podcast. But I love it as a backdrop for this anniversary episode because the same question I want to ask you today is the one I've been sitting with myself. Like, what happened in the first half? What do I want to do in the second half? So that's what today is about. This is your halftime. And I want to spend this episode in the locker room with you, getting honest, getting clear, and walking back out onto the field, ready to finish this year strong. So let's go. Welcome to the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast, where you will learn simple solutions to win at work without losing at home. Hi, my name is Martine Williams, and I'm your host and CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And this podcast is your one-stop shop to creating a burnout-proof life and business by elevating your clarity, confidence, and courage. Friends, it's time to say goodbye to being the yes girl, to procrastinating on your goals and living in overwhelm. And it's time to say hello to creating healthy boundaries, healthy mindsets, and healthy habits so that you can achieve work-life harmony. Your next breakthrough starts here. This is the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast. Let's do this. So here's how I want you to think about halftime. I want you to hold this image as we go through this episode together. Like, in sports, halftime is not a panic time. It's not the moment the coach tears everyone apart and tells them how badly they're losing. He might, but the best coaches are the ones who actually win. They use their halftime differently. They pull the team in. They get honest about what their first half showed them, right? They make smart adjustments and they send their players back out with more clarity, more focus than they had at the start, maybe. So that's what today is. And first, I just want to say you're not behind. You're at halftime. And there is a big difference between those two things. There's a very different list of activities, probably, and actions that you would take if you're coming from the mindset that I'm behind, or if you're coming with the mindset that I'm at halftime. So here's how we're going to move through this together. We're going to talk about 4 things. Like, we're going to talk about celebrating what's working. This is kind of like an evaluation process that I teach my one-on-one clients. Like, celebrate what's working, let go of what no longer fits. So what didn't work? And then recommit to the priorities that actually matter. So maybe, like, what would you do differently without changing your commitment to the priority? And then finish this year with intention instead of just reacting to whatever comes at you. Because there's a lot coming at us. Can we just be real when I say that? So let's get started with the part that most women skip: celebrate. And the reason we want to start here in any evaluation process is if you start with the negative, your brain has a really hard time finding the positive, finding the wins when you started unloading all of the things that didn't work. And so I want you to spend some time starting with the wins, because if you're anything like, again, the women that I coach, your brain went straight to the gaps. The second I said mid-year assessment, right? Or like it's halftime, your brain probably immediately went to the gaps, the things you didn't accomplish, where you're not. Am I right? And we do this. We're high achievers. We are wired to look at what's not done, what's not working, what's not where we thought it would be by now. And we completely fly past what we've actually built. I was just having this conversation with one of my one-on-one clients yesterday. Like, she's not where she wants to be, but she's not where she used to be. And she moves so fast and she has so many ideas that she's implementing that she's not pausing to celebrate what she has accomplished, where she's at right now in the halftime. So we're not going to do that today. We're going to start with what worked. So I'll go first. One of the biggest wins for me this first half of the year has been getting back into the rooms with women, literally physically being in the room. I hosted my first retreat in probably 6 years for my private one-on-one clients. And I had Illuminate You, the collective, which was a brand new experience that I wanted to create rooms for women to come in a small, intimate setting. More about that later. I have been putting myself in rooms and networking. And every single time I've done that, something really has come alive in me that I don't feel when I'm just sitting behind my computer getting things done. I feel more like myself in those moments than in almost anything else. I see the impact. I feel the impact of my work. I see women creating transformation in their lives. I see women connecting back to themselves and to other women who are on the same journey or a similar journey. And that win is worth celebrating because it's been a reminder of why I do what I do. My word for this year is connect. And when I think about where I have felt that the most, it's been there in the rooms with women doing the real work together. So that's a win because we all start out at the beginning of the year, right, with our ambitions and our goals and maybe your word of the year. And then somewhere along the way, like you start losing traction with it, or you forget about it, or it doesn't seem as like exciting to think about it. But my dream board, vision board that I made in January is right here in front of me. And the big word is connect. And so it really helps me to, when I'm thinking about what I'm doing in my business. The other big win was I invested in a speaker coach, someone who could actually teach me the business side of growing a speaker business. I've spoken on lots of stages and I have lots of content, but understanding the business side of it and how to, you know, get on the stages and how to pitch my talk and my keynote and being in the room, again, a very small environment, and being in the room with other professional speakers, all women, again, was another form of connection. And so everything I'm doing, I'm running through the filter of that one word. And if I don't feel connected to it, it's not that I won't do it, because there's some things you just got to do in business and in life that you don't feel connected to, if you get what I'm saying. But it is the overall filter that I'm running my days through, my intentions through, my actions through. And that's a big win. So I want you to think about yours. What worked in your first half? What are you proud of, even if it's small, even if no one else saw it? What did you do? What did you build? What did you survive? Maybe this is a really hard first half and like you were in that survival mode. Or maybe something that you started that deserves a moment of acknowledgement before you move on. Like you just took your first step, you just got started. So for me, it was deciding that I wanted to really focus on becoming a professional speaker and get on more stages, because I know what happens when I get in the room with women. I know what happens when I get on the stage in front of women, in me and in them. And so, what did you just get started with? I want you to really sit with that and write it down if you can, because you cannot build a strong second half on a foundation that you refuse to recognize. Like if you're not willing to say, look at what I just did in the first half, right? Here were my wins, and celebrate it because you deserve it and you earned it, then it just changes your mindset going into the second half. So the second thing we're going to do is we're going to let go. And now we get honest. Letting go is a part of the halftime that nobody wants to do because somewhere along the way we decided that releasing something means we failed at it. And that's just not true. Letting go is editing, right? You get feedback, like failure is feedback, it's data. And so looking at your year, looking at your halftime mark and saying like this no longer fits where I'm going, or carrying this is costing me more than it's keeping me or giving me. So I want you to really think about this. Maybe it's expectations, maybe it's goals that you've carried into the first half, maybe ways of doing things that you've had to look and that you need to look at honestly and say, this isn't for me anymore. Not because you gave up, but because you grew. And sometimes when you grow, you outgrow some of these behaviors, you outgrow some of these things that you've been doing. And it allows space for what's actually next. I was just having a conversation with a client yesterday and we were talking about social media. And like she does not want to be on social media. And just thinking about being on social media and thinking about posting and the comparison trap and all the things that comes from it. I said, what if we just took it off? Let's just take it off the table for 30 days. And then I shared with her that I did this last year or the year before. I decided I was going to take 30 days off and then like let go of that expectation of having to be on social media and see what becomes possible. And I ended up staying off of it for like 9 months and I filled my coaching practice. And so that's a very simple example, but maybe there is something that's taking up a lot of brain space, a lot of mental energy that you just need to let go of in your second half. So get honest with that. Get honest, like for me, where do I feel disconnected? And being online only makes me feel very disconnected. And so I am making sure that they're real time, in person connections that I'm creating in and out of my business. So with my word connect, it also showed me where the disconnection was. And again, like where and when I was feeling isolated. And that was when I'm in my office, heads down, just producing and executing and grinding through my to-do list. And that version of me is getting things done, but she wasn't thriving. My coach was like, I think you could do the exact same thing that you did last year with a different connection and desire, and you'll produce more revenue. And I've already done that in the first half just by tapping into connection and desire. So disconnection for me is data. And I had to let go of the idea that just being disciplined and productive was enough because I am those things. But I wanted to be in a place of desire and connection and not just discipline and doing. And that required me to let some things go that maybe the average entrepreneur or, coach would tell you that you have to have. So what about you? Where have you felt disconnected this year? Maybe from yourself, from your family, from your work. Because even though connect is my word, I do believe that that is something that is required to stay in the game, to keep showing up on the field and going, running yard by yard, running your race, is you being connected to why you're in the race in the first place. So what are you holding on to? A goal, a commitment, an expectation that is draining you more than it's fueling you? What didn't work this past first half that you might just need to let go of? And you have permission to let it go. So halftime is exactly the right time for you to set it down. Quick pause. If you've been listening and you're ready to stop performing your life and start leading it, if you know you're ready to feel better now, not later, and you're ready for support that actually creates sustainable transformation, I have private one-on-one coaching spots open. And inside this coaching, in Illuminate You coaching, we don't guess. We use your unique personality blueprint built from the science-backed personality performance tool called the ProScan, the one you've heard me talk about here in the podcast. This is used so that every decision, every boundary, every shift is designed specifically around your wiring, not someone else's. This is my aligned success method. It's not hacks. It's not try harder. It's not mindset glitter. It's a real solution. It's rooted in science, strategy, and your unique design. So you can lead your life as the woman you actually are, not the woman others expect you to be. Now is the time. Take the step. Book your clarity call at martinewilliams.com/clarity. All right, back to the episode. Now, the third part is we're going to recommit. And some of you, maybe this recommitment you did in the first quarter because you set resolutions in the first quarter, you realize I'm not standing by my commitments. But maybe it's taking you to the halftime mark to where you've just kind of lost that loving feeling. You've lost the commitment because it feels hard. The things you're trying to do require, more time than you thought, more energy than you thought. It always does. Side note, takes longer than you thought it was going to. But once you've celebrated what worked and released what doesn't fit, you get to do this really powerful thing, and you get to choose what you're actually going to go after in the second half. And it doesn't have to be a new list. I just want you to be super clear on what's on the list. Because the women who finish the year strong are not the ones who added 10 new goals in July. That's not what we're saying here. They're the ones who got quiet enough to hear what actually mattered and then went all in on that. Like going all in. And then having your back when it doesn't look like you thought it was going to, it doesn't feel like you thought it was going to. Maybe it's the results aren't what you thought they were going to be, the outcome, but having your back, like what would it look like in the second half for you to just have your back and be curious? And I'm going to recommit to this goal and these goals, and I'm going to have my back, and I'm going to turn my inner critic into my inner coach, and I'm going to show up for myself. So for me, recommitting to connection as the core of how I build and run this business, like that's me being in more rooms, more conversations, more opportunities for women to be in community with each other and with me, and less hiding behind a screen and calling it productivity. Now, I am productive when I'm behind the computer. It's not that, but for me, staying connected. So I'm probably going to be going live more on social media because I feel very connected. Even though I'm connected here on the podcast, when you're live, you have live interaction, right, with people. And so I used to go live all the time. And then when I launched this podcast, I stopped doing it because I'm like, well, they can just listen to it on the podcast. And you can, and the podcast isn't going anywhere. But for me to stay in connection, which is really what all of you need, and your people that you're trying to help or serve, like the quote is, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, because what the world needs is for people to come alive. Connection is what helps me to come alive. And you need me to come alive so that I can produce and coach and speak and help you on your journey. So what makes you come alive? For me, it's connection in rooms with women and being in that place where I thrive, where I can really show up in my natural strengths, in my people skills, and do what I do best. So recommitting to why you're doing the things that you're doing. I genuinely believe that women who understand themselves and who have the right support and who are surrounded by the right community do extraordinary things. That belief hasn't changed. And so it's why I show up on the podcast. It's why I have a one-on-one coaching practice. It's why I'm committed to being a keynote speaker, even more than I already have been. It's why I'm creating rooms like the collective. So if anything, it's stronger. The more rooms that I get into with women and I see the looks on their faces and I see the big dreams and aspirations, the ambition that they have, and yet they're feeling the burnout. They're on autopilot. They know that they were made for more and they just don't know how to get it. That's my recommitment to the second half of this year with real expectation, not wishful thinking, like expectation, hopeful expectation, because I've seen what happens when women start arguing for their limitations and start showing up for their possibilities. I'm the queen of possibility. I'm going to be thinking in capability and possibility. And a lot can happen in 6 months. A lot can happen in the next 30 days. Do you believe that? I do. I'm on track to reach my goal, and I honestly think I could pass it. And a lot can happen in the next 30 days. A lot can happen in the next 6 months, and I'm here for it. So I want to ask you, what are the 2 or 3 priorities that if you actually focused on them would make the rest of this year feel worth it? Not everything on your list, because if everything isn't a priority, then nothing really is. The real ones, the ones that would make you look back in December and say, yes, that's what this year was for. Look at what I did. Look at who I became. Even more importantly, look at who I became in the process. Write those down. Those are what you recommit to. And maybe it's the same things, but it's like recommitting to those goals. And here's the last piece, and it might be the most important one. A great second half doesn't just need a better plan. It needs the right environment and the right people around you. And I've been doing this a long time. I've been an entrepreneur for 2 decades, 5 years of this podcast, and years, again, of coaching women. And the one thing I know for certain is this: every season in my life where I made real progress, I was not doing it alone. Every time I've grown the most, there were women around me, cheering me on, challenging me. Y'all, this speaker coach, her name is Erin King. She's an amazing keynote speaker, and she just launched this new Booked, Busy, Blessed speaker community for women who want to be keynote speakers. She is challenging me big time, and I'm here for it. I know it's hard work. And listen, I have been frustrated, and I have been like, oh my gosh, I've already done this work. Why am I having to do it again? All of the thoughts and things that you have felt, I'm feeling right this second. But that's what I'm there for. I'm there for her to challenge me. And she's also cheering me on. And she's reminding me of who I am when I forget and when I get frustrated. So having a community where people are cheering you on, they're challenging you, they're celebrating you, they're reminding you of who you are. And every time that I have felt the most stuck, the most drained, the most like I was just going through the motions, the most like I just want to quit, it was when I was isolated. And I don't think that's a coincidence. We were created and designed for community. And so before you close out your halftime reset that we're working on today, are you trying to finish this year alone? And is that actually working for you? I know you're strong. I know you're ambitious. I know you're highly capable. And I also know that I am strong, I am ambitious, and I'm capable. And I am who I am today because of the women who have locked arms with me and been on this journey with me. And some of them are the same ones that have been on this journey with me for 2 decades. Some of them are brand new that I just met in the new community that I just went into. Because you can have the best plan in the world, but if you're executing in a vacuum, you're making it so much harder than it needs to be. You were not built to do this alone. None of us were. Entrepreneurship is hard. It's even harder when you're doing it solo, when you're writing solo. And so that brings me to something that I want to share with you because it feels like exactly the right moment to talk about. And I'm so excited that I am reopening Illuminate You, the collective, for you, for this woman, the one who just did this halftime assessment and realized she doesn't want to figure out the second half alone. She wants a room, a real one, with real women who get it. We did this back in April, and I told you I was going to do one in the fall, and it's here. It's coming in August. And you are the exact reason why I created the collective. So it's a 2-day in-person experience, Thursday evening, August 27th, and Friday, August 28th, right here in Murrells Inlet, South Carolina. And it's intentionally small, 20 women. That's it. Because this is not a conference. It's a circle. It's a community. And here's how it works. Before you even walk in the door, you're going to complete the ProScan personality blueprint. which is one of the most powerful tools I use in all of my coaching. And it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to take. And what comes back is a detailed picture of how you're actually wired, your natural strengths, how you make decisions, where you tend to burn out, what your energy genuinely needs to function at its best. Most women have never seen themselves this clearly before. And that blueprint becomes the foundation of everything we do together. So Thursday evening, this is an amazing evening where we gather for a curated connection dinner, because the relationships that get built in this room are part of the work. And they're relationships that will be with you when the weekend is over. And so that's Thursday evening. And then Friday is a full day workshop where we dive into a complete life audit. You build a personalized energy management plan. You walk through a simple 3-step process to manage your mind when the pressure builds so it doesn't take you out. Entrepreneurship has a lot of uncertainties. And if you don't know how to manage your brain and manage your mind, it will take you out of the game. And we don't want that. So you're going to have your personality blueprint, and you'll leave with that. So you'll leave with your blueprint, your plan, and clarity that you did not walk in with, and the confidence to live it out, to work the plan. So if you've been waiting for the right moment to invest in yourself and your second half, this is it. And if you're anywhere near South Carolina or willing to make the trip, I would love to see you in that room. It is an amazing experience. The first ladies that went through it back in April are still talking about it today. They're still genuinely connecting with one another, and spots are limited to 20 women, and that's intentional. But when they're gone, registration closes. But let's wrap this up. 5 years ago, I started this podcast because I believe something. I believe that women who are trying to win at work without losing at home deserve real tools, real conversation, and real community, not just motivation, real support. And I still believe that more than ever. And I'm heading into the second half of my year more connected to that mission than I've been in a really long time. So you came into this episode at halftime. You're leaving with something to think about, something to release, something to recommit to. And if it resonated, an invitation to not do the second half alone. You can be in a room with women who understand your life, your ambition, and the struggle of winning at work without losing at home. And a lot can happen in 6 months, friends. A lot can happen in these next 30 days. So let's go finish strong. I'm believing in you always. Thank you for the last 5 years, truly from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. And I will catch you on our next episode. Well, that's a wrap, friends. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I really hope it met you right where you are and gave you some encouragement for your day. Could you do me the biggest favor and leave me a rating and review? Seriously, it's the best way for you to support the show. And while you're there, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Thanks again. And until next time, I am believing in you always.